This is the Real Pod Newscast with Levon Putney with a quick check on what's going on. So here's my man to get into it.
Happy Tuesday. Got a good exercise digging out of that weekend snowstorm here in New Jersey, but I'll cut the small talk here in the intro. This time I wrote a little long and a couple of stories coming up, but they're goodies. They had me laughing, and I'll gladly share a few because good Lord, do we need them. But let me just drop this one right here and we'll get going because I just learned that botanists do not classify strawberries as berries, but they do with bananas. Ain't that bananas?
My favorite stories of the day.
There's this guy in Albany, New York, who the county district attorney's office said is due in court today, the 27th, for sentencing on a weapons charge and, may follow up to see if he made it to the sentencing because News Channel 13 is reporting he missed his court hearing the Tuesday before last. So sheriff's deputies and probation officers went to track him down, and that should not have been hard since the court had an ankle monitor attached to his leg as part of probation. So when he did not show up for his pre-sentencing hearing, deputies and officers figured they would follow the monitor's tracks, and they did. Around the same time, WNYT News Channel 13 is saying they got a call from a police department south of Albany, seeing if they were missing an ankle monitor. See, around the same time that guy was missing his Tuesday morning court appearance, deputies later told WNYT that a woman found a dog running free in a town south of Albany, so says that dog hopped in her car and she took it to a vet. The vet called the cops because they were probably not quite sure what to do with a dog that had an ankle monitor attached to it. They could guess the dog was not on probation. No charges for barking up the wrong tree or for chasing neighborhood bitches. No, police knew right away that monitor was supposed to be on the guy probation officers were looking for after skipping his court hearing that same morning. Now, they did not say or know if the dog belonged to the fugitive. Either way, the dog's not in trouble with an aiding and abetting charge or something like that. No, that guy on the loose is in trouble and likely missed his sentencing today for that weapons charge. Doggone shame, unless they just caught him. Now, people shoplift every day, so this case of a bold thieving guy out of South Florida is not special in itself until watching the surveillance video inside a kosher grocery store, which, I understand is not easy to do in an audio podcast, but let me summarize for you. And hey, MC Hammer would be proud of how this guy stashed the stuff an overhead camera caught him swiping. See, Local 10 News aired some of the video in their story, showing him stuff an almost $100 cowboy steak down one of his pants legs. Then after a store worker passed by pushing a cart, he stuffed a brisket down the other leg. That's a lot of weight, and it looked like he stuffed the bottom of his jeans into his socks so nothing would slide down and out the legs, which helped, I guess. Those were some big chunks of meat to be sliding out of a pants leg, but either way, the reporter says in the story that the beef bandit added more by grabbing a bottle of wine and dropping that down his pants. I hope it was red wine to pair with the beef he was shoving down his jeans. Local 10 did not say, but did say the guy actually gave the steak back and walked out of the kosher store, still with heavy legs because there was still a brisket and a bottle of wine in there, until store workers ran after him. Yeah, they say they shook him down, got all the meat and wine he stole. They say he also ran off, though, before cops got there. So that means they're still looking for this man, well, with the help of all the video footage, meaning cops have a lot to go on. But one has to ask, did the store put that meat back in the produce section to sell? It was packaged while down dude's pants, yet it was still close to his package, and that cannot be kosher. Also on Local 10 News, so also in South Florida, is this case out of Pembroke Pines, where a 21-year-old man was arraigned last Tuesday on a digital voyeurism charge. Yeah, Pembroke Pines police say it happened back in late November, Sunday before Thanksgiving, when they say an adult and a juvenile saw this guy walk by the victim and notice, one of them at least, noticed out of the corner of her eye that he was holding his phone under the girl's skirt. Now, she told officers it looked to her like the guy recorded 3 times under the girl's skirt and said the victim caught him recording once, which one would assume would have been the last time. One would assume this would not have happened at all if for no other reason than God was watching. This happened in church. This 21-year-old dude is accused of recording videos under a girl's skirt inside Boulevard Bible Chapel. And then police say he committed the sin of lying about it once the girls and the victim's brother reported it. I mean, cops took his phone and say they found no videos, but that he later emailed to say he deleted the recordings without sending or showing them to anybody. But God sees all in his house. Detectives felt they had enough by that point, so hit up the 21-year-old to see if he would come by the station to answer a few follow-up questions. And Local 10 Story said, my God thought he might get his phone back. Oh, ye of too much faith. The only thing this young man got was arrested. Yeah, Local 10 says he's out on bond waiting for trial. And now I wanted to say he'll definitely need a new church home after this, but to think about it, if this is all true, he'll need more than prayers to fit in, since I may not be using his name, but Local 10 and other news outlets are. And church folks do gossip. Bless his heart. Back in a moment, but before we break, a word about the Jams podcast. Still jamming.
Blazing the best hip-hop, R&B, reggae, soca.
You can get the Jams podcast mix on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeart, Apple Podcasts, and Deezer. Download the podcast for free.
It's Jams Hour Mix with Greg H.
Today.
And don't let the door hit you where the Lord split you. Come on, bump. I have to recharge.
Strobots are sold absolutely nowhere. It's not often that you'd want to lean in for a close sniff of toilet paper. But the rose-scented paper rolls from Rosie will make you want to press those nostrils up against a roll. And there, you can inhale the rosy aroma soon to bless your bottom and feel the 4 plies of cotton ball softness about to caress your tush.
And now for the world around us.
Tech news site Cybernews is crediting Danish news outlet Politiken.dk with reporting some European organizations have gotten together to launch a new social media site called W as direct competition to X, what we used to call Twitter until some rich guy bought it. If the folks behind W posted on LinkedIn that W's data will be hosted in Europe by European companies and made the point that systematic disinformation is eroding public trust and weakening democratic decision-making, which leads to the platform's title and slogan, W. Trust your feed. That's the slogan. Now, the CEO told the Danish news site Politiken that W stands for we, and that human verification, free speech, and data privacy will be at its core. W was apparently one of the announcements made last week at the World Economic Forum in Davos. Meanwhile, I read on Bloomberg News how Apple is about to send Siri through sort of a tech version of a gender transition by turning digital assistant Siri into an AI chatbot later this year named Campos. And that users will be able to call up Campos the same way Siri popped up. So now campers may have to be careful not to say that word around the phone, or compost might also confuse Campos, the same way Siri would pop up when mistaking similar sounding words for the users calling her for help. Well, in the sports section of the UK's Mirror news site, a story was posted last Thursday on how 3 soccer or football fans from Belgium traveled 6,000 miles to see their hometown team play a Champions League match last Tuesday in Kazakhstan. Once in the stadium stands, around 500 other Club Brugge fans who the Mirror said made the trip. The 3 hometown soccer fans there among the Brugges, took off their shirts, though, to show off the neon green mankinis that they were wearing in honor of Borat, who wore the same thing in the first movie, I believe. The Borat character in the movie, a bumbling news reporter from Kazakhstan. So it was lighthearted teasing the folks there in that country while they were there. And reports say the Kazakhstani fans loved it. They were laughing, but police were not, and arrested all 3 at the game last Tuesday, sentenced to jail the next day, and got out Sunday. 5 days in jail is what Kazakhstani cops think of Borat. Back in a moment.
And now, a moment of peace.
Safari over. Grab that mic and recorder. Let's go. Simba, it is all yours, buddy. Let's get the hell out of here. Got me messing with these cats.
$8 a dozen for eggs laid minutes before, fresh out the mother pigeon. It can't get more organic than that. So swing on by to J-Dub's Rooftop Market at the corner of Clinton Avenue and South 17th in Newark. Drop by.
Remember when we all knew that milk does the body good, and we passed it on? Or how the only question on our mind at some point in the day was, got milk?
What's up with what's going down, though?
Yeah, what's up with this one cat on TikTok recording himself for a few seconds every day, learning how to Dougie? Like almost a decade too late, but hey, they said teach me how. He's gotten hundreds of thousands of likes on some of these posts here over the past 31 days, the last one I saw on Sunday. Now, judging from the writing on signs in the background on that day 31 post, looks like bro's in South Korea. I mean, I'll assume it's not North. But yeah, he's apparently come a long way since starting, judging from the comments. And, a lot of these TikTokers are saying they've been watching dude since the first post. I mean, he still needs to work on the hand around the head move. He should just watch some old Dougie Fresh videos to see how the originator did that and the rest of the moves that he's learning now. Dude's head will probably explode. Now, this is just the latest great sign, though, that hip-hop ain't going nowhere. I mean, sure, a lot of fellow Gen Xers just had a mild freakout a few months ago when we saw there were no rappers in Billboard's top 40 for the first time since 1990. And that does say the genre could use a few more commercial hits right now, sure. But hip-hop has always been and always will be an underground thing, so we don't need hits. I mean, we didn't need it back in the 80s. Remember, they wouldn't play the stuff on the radio for the most part until the late 80s, and that's when some stations like K-Day out in L.A. started jamming. But as long as we have a world full of cats like this out in South Korea trying to Dougie, the culture will live on. Dance on, bro. Just do a search for Dougie Fresh, the show. Yeah, that should show you how.
It's not just knee deep. She was totally deep when she was freaky with me. Get up for the downstroke. Everybody get up for the downstroke.
And that's that for the 107th Real Pod Newscast. This time last year was about the 7th. 100 more later, I appreciate you listening. Some since episode 1, and I'm grateful. What else can I say, really? And this is really something I'm enjoying. It's a lot to fit in now with this full-time gig I got a couple months ago with iHeart and New Jersey 101.5. But look, I'm working that out. And I did write up 3 new parody ads. They're funny as hell. I just need time to put them all together. Time, hard to come by lately, and I'll get around to it. That's life for you, though. Nothing to complain about. You just roll with it and enjoy it while we still have it. Life, that is. Have a great rest of the week. Back on Friday.
This has been the Real Pod Newscast with Levon Putney from Show Enough Productions. And for more, hit up the website, realpodnewscast.com. That's real with 2 E's. This is Big Daddy Marty Allen. Thanks for listening.
Hey, where's the thief? I don't think there's anybody back there.
Show enough.